Yeah. Good evening. We live with Brown Girl Boston on our show. Does HBCUs provide knowledge of self? Hey, Dre.
Hey everyone. Hey fam. How y'all doing out here on this Saturday? Hopefully all is well.
So we had this discussion prior HBCUs, and I told you my opinion. And I know that you had graduated from Tuskegee University.
hmm
Just give us a brief background on yourself in regards to HBCUs.
Yes. Awesome. Oh, anything else? Okay.
No, that's it. Go ahead.
Okay. So hey everyone, I'm Andrea Maffinon. I am a graduate, 2006 graduate from Tuskegee University. So TU, we in the building. Originally from Boston, Massachusetts. And so I'll just get into like why I decided to go to HBCU. I decided to go to HBCU. My parents are from Alabama. I like to say, like, I live in the land of my ancestors, or my ancestors are from Alabama, South Alabama, to be exact. And I remember taking these long road trips from Boston to where my parents' hometown is from. And that's about like 24-hour, road trip. And I remember passing it Tuskegee University, and I was like, oh my God, like what is Tuskegee University? You see the sign on the highway on 85, and I was like, I want to go to that school. So I was about like 6, 7 years old, and my parents looking like, what does she know about college and all this other stuff? Because I am first generation college graduate. So I always knew I wanted, to go to HBCU. I always had knowledge of self. Like I said, my parents being from Alabama, growing up in Jim Crow, Alabama, going to segregated schools, like they went to Escambia County training school. So if anytime you hear training school, that's mainly dealing with, Black Americans being educated, equal separately but equally, right? So I knew that was in my plan. Me growing up in Boston, which is very segregated, very white city. If you guys know anything about Boston, very Irish. I knew that my path wasn't to go to a PWI because it wasn't going to shelter, the person who I needed to become, now at almost 37 years old, right? So that's my journey to HBCU. Also, too, was interesting. My AP history class, U.S. history class, I took in the 10th grade. We read Up from Slavery. And if you guys ever
Mm.
read Up from Slavery, that's by Booker T. Washington. If you are a fan of his or not, I think everyone should read this book. I should have bought my book over here. And the book pretty much just talked about his journey to starting, what is now Tuskegee University. And I think a lot of people get Booker T. Washington messaging and also his philosophies and even just his overview of Black folks definitely wrong. They call him an Uncle Tom. They always pin him up against, W.E.B. Du Bois. So not knowing that Booker T. Washington actually, walked 500 miles to attend now Hampton University. The headmaster at Hampton Institute at the time actually told Booker T. Washington to go to Tuskegee to find the school. And actually, Tuskegee is like one of the only HBCUs founded by a Black man, a Black person. Most HBCUs are founded by white folks who had children, mulatto children, and they couldn't be educated at these PWI schools, so they built their own institutions for the mulatto children. So just to give you guys a history about that.
Okay. Okay. So we discuss HBCUs. What was your experience? Was it eye opening when you got there?
It was eye opening when I got there because all Black is not the same.
What do you
And
mean?
what do I mean by that? Me being out, like I said, I call myself Brown Girl from Boston because that was my theme. That's how my blog came about. Like everyone was all like, "Oh my God, you a Black woman or a Black girl or a brown girl?" Because it's like, are you really Black because of my skin tone? But that's a whole nother story. From Boston. Do Black people live in Boston? Yeah, Black people live in Boston. What I liked about my experience at being at Tuskegee, people talk about Southern hospitality, and I can go into another episode about that, but it's a mix because you have rude people everywhere. you got hospitable people everywhere. So everyone on campus spoke. You talking about people dressed to the nine, people was dressed to the nine going to class. What I truly enjoyed about my experience was the education of knowing, going back to knowledge itself. I had professors who did not play that about being a Black person in America. What was we up against? Also, too, how you carry yourself a certain way, being a professional. Me coming from the background of social work, I had, Black men, true Black men being professors who was teaching us not only knowledge itself, but how do we navigate this world of white supremacy, being, in this Black skin, being a Black professional. So everything that I was taught, and I was taught by legends. So for those, I want you all to go look up Dr. Frank Tolan. He was a legendary historian at Tuskegee University. He taught there for like 40, 50 years up until his death. And I learned a lot in his history class about just even the history of Tuskegee, the land, the KKK marching on campus, and things of that nature. So I truly enjoyed my experience. Yeah, I had my moments I was homesick because you're dealing with all these Black people. Like I said, Black people are not the same. We're dealing with, Caribbean Black folks. We're dealing with African Black folks, people across the diaspora. And so I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about other cultures. I learned even more about like there's people, there was a lot of West Coast folks about how they, parents migrated from the South to the West Coast or just even different places. So I learned a lot. That's why I go back to homecoming. I try to give back as much as I can because it was a truly enriching experience. Yeah, it was a lot of elitism. So what do I mean about elitism? Which I didn't like. Oh, my parents, or I'm the fifth generation Tuskegee University. You had a lot of that, a lot of Black people who came from money, like old money, that had the maids, that had a driver. So they was being in Jack and Jill organizations. I wasn't used to that because, like I said, both my parents are high school educated folks from Alabama. They migrated. They was part of the Northern Migration to Boston, and they worked a 9 to 5 job back in the time in which you can go work at a job for 40 years and have a good pension, whatever the case is.
Okay.
So I'm thankful for that. My parents, was able to send me to school and help me out. But, it's not near, and I don't compare my experience to like, I'm glad I wasn't part of that elitist, like Black folk, Jack and Jill organization, because I don't think I would have been so hungry to get my education and everything wasn't handed to me on a platter. So I really had to learn how to not only work hard, but be resilient and learn how to navigate those situations of, having, let's say, lower middle class background versus, let's say, my roommate. And I did have a roommate who parents, were Black professionals, and she was like third, fourth generation college educated.
So if you was to ask, if I was to ask you your experience with dealing with Black immigrants going to the school and their experience, how was that?
I would definitely say Black immigrants going to school. They was kind of like hanging out with us. So I'm talking about us like, Black Americans, ADOS, whatever you classify yourself as, but they also was in their own enclave. So they also, was telling what their people from, let's say, Jamaica, but they also knew that they had to like also hang with Black Americans because that was the bulk on campus. So that was like from 2001, 2006. So their experience is like, I need them because I need to know how to navigate this system. But also too, I can also fade to Black and go chill with my countrymen or my countrywoman over here because we have to figure out how to navigate this school system together. And even also to immerse ourselves into Black culture. And another thing I want to add, that's a good question you asked because a lot of people don't know Booker T. Washington and Marcus Garvey had a great relationship because Marcus Garvey was actually was supposed to meet with Booker T. Washington to learn how to even model a Tuskegee University, Tuskegee Institute in the islands of Jamaica.
Yes.
So our history with Black immigrants, I'm talking about as far as with campus culture wise, have extended, let's say in the 20s and, beyond that. So you have a lot of Black immigrants on campus. I know, especially in the engineer majors, they dealt with a lot of like Nigerians and stuff like that. Veterinarian schools, it was more like a lot of Indo Americans, Asian Americans. So it was like a melting pot of immigrants, but they knew that this is the land of Black Americans and this is the lineage here, and that it was no disrespect. It was more like, oh, I'm honored and privileged to be on these grounds of Booker T. Washington and George Washington Carver as well.
Yeah. So let me ask you. So did you ever find yourself intermingling with other people that went to HBCUs and y'all disagreeing with Booker T. Washington's philosophy and W.E.B. Du Bois' philosophy?
Yeah, I do, come across folks that was like, oh, I could never go to a Tuskegee, university because Booker T. Washington, like I mentioned, was an Uncle Tom, according to some of these folks' eyes. And if W.E.B. Du Bois had his own university, I would have went to that university. But this is the thing that I want to mention too about that. So a lot of times we get into it, but like I'm not petty, but I know the facts. I'm like, listen, until you come on the campus and you learn the history, I can't knock what Booker T. Washington did for Black folks, because he was not only saying, hey, yeah, get the education, let's lift the veil of ignorant Black people, but he was kind of like, yo, we got to stay here in the Americas to like fight the fight. And he had to navigate that system. We're talking about in the 20s. He had to learn how to navigate that system versus W.E.B. Du Bois. What did he do? Exile to Ghana. And he's like, hey, let's give up our full citizenship. Let's go to Ghana. So kind of like that pilgrimage, what people are doing now. It's like, I'm going to go to Ghana. I'm going to go to Liberia. I'm going to go to, name your Black country, and not knowing that, that country already have their citizens and they're trying to figure out how to, navigate, the Chinese white supremacy in that area as well. So,
and this is actually the country that, okay, we're not originally from here, but this is the country that we established. Our family put our labor into this country, and we're old, and this is why are we gonna go anywhere? This is our home.
Exactly. And so that's what Booker T. Washington was saying. He said, yeah, we may not ever get our full citizenship, but how do we still navigate this this country that, like you said, that our ancestors have built? Hell, he had helped built as well. So why would we give that up so someone else can come take the land just to go and to exile? Because let's say we are exhausted from fighting the system here. So that, I come across that all the time. People always say too, like if they go to a different HBCU and they know about, if I'm a Tuskegee grad or anybody else, they're like, oh, y'all in the cult. They like to say we're in the cult because we have so much pride in our HBCUs. And they're like, oh, you guys are in like a cult because y'all be going hard about your HBCUs. It's not that we go hard. It's just we understand the lineage, the blood, sweat, and tears that, Booker T. Washington had built. And not only just him, we talking about Lewis Adams, who helped, Booker T. Washington find the land at Tuskegee, Alabama. So we're talking about a lot of Black folks who to respond.
Yeah. So let me ask you. Most people's fear sometimes is not understanding what the boule is about, and then like, okay, they went to HBCU, they might be boule or whatever. So what's your opinion on that?
So I'm not boule at all. I didn't join any organization because I just felt like I'm just I'm like Area 51. I'm in a whole like area by myself, which is okay.
Hey,
I think a lot of times people are boule.
I got my friend Sal Silver. He's joining us too.
What's up, baby?
Hey.
We got Fox Hall in the building.
Hey,
what's good?
Sal, give us your history with the HBCU.
Well, I'll keep it real simple. I knew I was going to Howard since I was in 5th, 6th grade. And I'm pretty sure you've known me about it longer than that, probably, but not my college aspirations. But, I'm going to keep it 100. My uncle went to Howard. My aunt, his wife, ended up being the director of general accounting. I had a cousin, Raymond Archer III, who was the dean of student life and activities at Howard. Then he became the dean of alumni affairs. When I got to school, I had 3 cousins that started freshman year. One of them, my mother's, my Uncle Buddy from DC, my mother's only brother, his daughter, she came in freshman year with me. I found out my cousin Jason Headley, another engineer major, and Danielle from Baltimore. So Virginia, Baltimore, and Jersey, and then Maryland. All four of us started at the same time. So we got deep roots.
Okay, Dre,
in black school.
I know you was on the move because I can see you driving, but Dre is a graduate of Tuskegee.
Okay.
Okay.
One of my boys, his grandfather was a Tuskegee airman. So Tuskegee's got a rich history.
Definitely.
That's what we was discussing. Sal, would you explain your experience at the HBCU? And do you feel like they taught knowledge? You could tell us. Do you feel like they provided knowledge of self?
Well, see, when you come from where we come from, you have to have a certain amount on your own. Your parents, the streets, a combination of learning on yourself. But to be honest, going to Howard, the standard, lift every voice and sing, certain things that become a standard for you as a black student at a HBCU, and I don't even know how to say it sometimes because the whole term messes me up. Black college, nigga, black college. But at the same time, I get it. We've got to give it a prominent sounding name, and we've got to do all the right things. But I will say this: it prepared me for a lot of things more than the average classroom experience. If you had to bust your ass to get good grades because they weren't giving it to you, and you're competing against all your own people, so there's no excuse. Oh, the Europeans taught it this way. They wanted it. Nah. When white folks come to get the number one nigga in the country, they come to Howard. They come to black universities because they know there's no excuse. You're competing against the best of your best in the country. And there's a few that go to Harvard and Yale and all of that crap. But guess what? They're not prepared for the black experience in the world, even though the world is not the black experience. To tell the truth, DC, black schools are like a Shangri-La. It's like you're in a cocoon, and it ain't all love because some people don't give a damn about you, just like we live in Vauxhall, Irvington didn't care, whatever. But at the same time, you could find people like you or maybe different, but embrace you in what you do. And I learned things from my people from California, from Detroit, from Florida, from Ohio, from Trinidad. I got a friend, DJ Trini. He's a Hall of Fame DJ now. He's from Trinidad and Tobago. He DJ'd at all the Howard parties. He been in DC forever, and he just put his nose to the grind and connect with his people. But I mean, did you think you were gonna meet somebody from Madagascar or Trinidad or from? No, I didn't know that. I thought I was gonna see a bunch of fire sisters at Howard. To be honest, I went to homecoming my junior year of high school, and I had already been to DC a million times for family, so I knew what it looked like down in Chocolate City. So when Coach Hazelton asked me senior year, well, what are your SAT scores and where do you think you're going to college? I said, excuse me? 1050, took it once, going to Howard. I'm sure. Don't have to ask me nothing else. Next thing I know, the lineup was changing. They don't like to hear you going to a black school, and they don't like to hear you that confident. Mm-hmm. Because quietly, there's a lot of smart people that went to school with us, and we shouldn't have to tuck our intelligence at all, especially not around these Euro steps. But I'm going to leave that where that's at. I'm going to get back on what we were talking about, get back on the point. The experience as far as networking is unmatched. I can name 10 people right now that I guarantee 1 million people know. You know what I mean? That I went to school with. You take Marlon Wayne. You take Ananda Lewis. You take Puffy, perhaps. You take Derek Angeletti. They might not all know the Mad Rapper, but they know Love and Hip Hop. Mm-hmm. That's him. You know what I'm saying? Um, Shit, the list goes on. But you know, you got the folks from Black Panther, you got Taraji P, and when I say Ananda and Marlon, you know, they were on campus when I was there. We kicked it. You know, Tracy Lee kicked it. Young Guru, they found him there at a DJ contest. Kicked it. I mean, that's like this with them. All of Jay-Z's music, he's engineered. He is the number one engineer in the world. There's no hip hop engineer above Young Guru. And that's our guy. You know what I'm saying? So Scotty Lee from Scott's Flame, he runs that whole engine room. They do all the Trey songs and all of 50 Cent. Dave East is through there. Everybody's through there. He's the executive producer of Angela Yee's podcast, which a lot of people don't know that. Scotty was on the Howard soccer team. Right there when I was there. We went to Union County College together the one semester we both messed up. That's how we got tight. Me, him, Jay, PJ, Major. Look, all of us acting a fool out there.
So but
we wanted to get back to DC.
Let me ask both of y'all. I was about to ask Dre something before you came in, Sal. What do you think some of people's apprehensions with dealing with HBCUs and wanting to send their kids to school there or so forth and so on?
I could answer it after her. Well, the real quick is, if you went there, you knew what you went through. So you may not know if your kid is ready for that. You know, when I went to Howard, you know, Steve Hightower was there 2 years before me. We had one other cat, Keith was there the year before that, but I knew DC, blah, blah, blah. I asked, hey, what kind of clothes do I need to buy, blah, blah, blah. They said, you better get a pistol. I said, huh? A pistol for school? They said, you better get a pistol because it ain't, you know, at home ain't easy, but nah, he was like, you might have to correct some actions. And I'm like, I'm going to college. I stayed out the street in high school for a reason. What are you talking about? So I had to get a pistol, you know? But that's one of the major things. My daughter got a full ride to Tulane. I would have sent her to Howard. Like now I think about it, she would have been embraced there. A top athlete, top scholar, 4.3, graduated at 16. They would embrace her there, but they didn't think she would go to a Howard, so they didn't really recruit her. And I didn't want her to deal with the kind of, you know, keep it real, the kind of niggas in DC. They pull up, hey baby, you know, oh, you need a Prada bag to match them shoes. You need, blah, 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 whoa, we didn't go to Houston's yet. We need to go shopping. Hold on, let's go to Mazda Gallery and get you an outfit to match this, and this, and these earrings. And oh yeah, we're gonna stop at the room. No.
Okay.
Hey, they tricking out there. So it depends on where you are. Now Hampton, my mother and father went there. That's a much more relaxed situation. I might have said, oh yeah, if it was D1, well yeah, baby, go there. It's a little relaxed. DC is a rough town, but I ended up sending her to New Orleans, and she did well. She's doing well, so I guess could have sent her to Howard. You know, I think the real problem is alumni, and that's part on me. But the alumni with that real hank need to put some money into the school. Into the schools, they need to support the programs they know that are weak, and they need to keep reaching back and putting new things in place each year to help support families and the kids that are there who don't have backing. You know, I was on financial aid. I was supposed to have everything paid my first 2 years. Shoot, they lost my financial aid paperwork. Grandma had to write a check and co-sign on a loan. Next thing you know, I'm upside down. These other schools, shit, money's right. You walk through, you don't have a long line. Our line was around the gym when I was registered.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? My daughter was registering online. Ooh, do. You know what I mean? So that's some of the things that make you slow down a bit with what's happening. Now, I'm sorry, my short answers are long, dear.
It's okay.
But we know Tuskegee gonna give us something good on that.
No, I agree everything that you say, and I want to add this too. A lot of times when it comes to our people, not all of them, but some of them, especially with some parents, they feel that the white man's water is better. And what I mean about that is, oh, this PWI is better, especially if you an athlete, as I mentioned about his daughter, like if you an athlete, I live in Alabama now. So they're looking at Tuskegee. Once upon a time, we had like a really amazing football program. They're going to look at Alabama like, oh, Nick Saban know how to do the wobble. He's coming to the recruitment trip. Yeah, grandma, is going to teach him how to do the wobble and get banana pudding popping. And then your kids getting signed to a D1. And see, I can talk from two perspectives because I got my master's from a PWI. And a lot of times they treat Black students like trash. Yeah, your financial.
She froze up.
Yeah, Dre, I lost you for a second.
Are we still here?
Yeah, you back.
Okay.
Yeah,
you ain't got no light though. I can't see.
Yeah, my lights went out.
Oh yeah, Gus, she in the middle of a storm down there in Alabama, man.
Oh man, hey, my daughter's down in Alabama, so hopefully, hey, we get her to come to her show one of these days. But man, Alabama's something different.
Yeah, you dark, Drea.
Okay, so pretty much, so you deal with that, and you also deal with the infrastructure too. Like the infrastructure is not the best. You're dealing with dorms looking like a homeless facility. I'm just saying, it's just that they need the funding, and also too, not only just the funding, but they're not recruiting and retaining the students as they need to. And so that's why a lot of parents are like, well, why I want to send my kids to a HBCU, because look at the infrastructure, and Tuskegee is in the cut. It's in the boonies. You need a car. You need resources, because the next town over is in Auburn, or you got to go to Montgomery to do all your shopping. So it just needs to be more of an upgrade, but it goes to going back to the tuition. Tuskegee costs like $40,000 to attend every year. Who has that type of financial aid, or even parents who have the financial support to send their children there? So it's a lot of infrastructure that needs to be re-strategized, and that's how I look at it from the standpoint of why parents send their children to other schools or send them to a trade school as well.
You said something big about the cost. When I went to Howard, it was about 10 grand a year, and that seemed like a lot. Tulane was about 50, 60 grand a year. I got lucky my daughter's on scholarship, so they bought her, sports bras, sneakers, all that, walk around shoes. They do her laundry. So that was cool. The thing you said about the upgrading of facilities is true. When I stayed in Drew, we didn't have air conditioning, in DC, in the humid summer. It was one community bathroom down at the end of the hall, 8 spigots like you in jail for showers, like that. I had girls that stayed in dorms that I could get into bed, and my foot would be touching their door, and I could touch their window to the outside, which was the full length of the room. You know what I'm saying? So it was tight. But and the recruiting is terrible. Like you remember Gerard Mustaf, right? Q?
Yeah.
But back in the day, he had a chance. He was gonna go to Howard. He went to visit, and Coach A.B. Williamson, thank goodness they got rid of him and got Butch Beard, but then they moved on since then. Because the young boy, R.J. Cole, just killed him last year, but we don't get on that. But long story short, Gerard Mustaf came for a recruiting visit. A.B. Williamson brought him on campus, got him a hot dog, and said, "This is our gym," and blah, blah, blah. I mean, what's going to make you go there instead of University of Maryland? University of Maryland is a beautiful green campus. It looks like you came to Duke or somewhere. Like if you've never been, like, oh my God, what is this? And then you got them at Howard in an urban environment. You could have brought them on campus at 12 noon when all the honeys are out. You could have took them to the club. You could have took them to Georgetown. Could have took them down to the waterfront, to Hogates on Sundays with me when we were drinking the champagne brunch and eating, cheese grits and crab legs and all that. That's what you got to show them. You got to show them where the players are playing at. And, you know what I mean? Take them to Georgetown. Let them go mess with Alonzo and AI and let them know I'm gonna be crushing y'all over here. But that they had no thought, you know what I'm saying? No thinking. And most of us black parents want to send our kids somewhere where they got the best chance to become a pro or to be seen. Well, a lot of them ain't going pro. We know this. Some of them will. But I think if 4 or 5 of us got together and sent our kids to Howard or to Hampton or to Morgan or Coppin, we could change the face of the NCAA. Because R.J. Cole showed you. He went All-American from Howard off of sheer ability. His big men couldn't put the ball in the ocean. He was dropping dimes either hand. I'm talking about I was so thoroughly impressed with this young boy. And VC made me so proud that they sent him to Howard and got him and put him on a national spotlight, even though he went to a smaller school. So I think it can come around, but it's so hard because it is a real, unless you don't have other options, most parents won't do it because we couldn't even get seconds at Howard when it came to the cafeteria.
Wow.
You couldn't go back and get some more. I used to put rice on my plate, right? Slide the meat under the rice and get back in line with one of the cute girls that was doing the food and be like, "Oh, baby, yeah, throw my meat on there." You know what I'm saying? So I get a double portion sometimes. The football players are the only ones they let get omelets and stuff for breakfast. They treated us like crap.
Like one of the issues when you talk to certain people that never went to an HBCU, they be scared of the boule thing. Oh, is it boule? I don't know. I don't mess with the boule. Everybody that go to HBCU, they caught up in that boule crap. What's y'all experience with
what
that?
Is that? What's boule?
I'm trying to figure out too.
Because I ain't never heard of that. I'm like, what? Oh, you mean bougie shit? Or what?
Like the
Nick, hey. Look, I can just tell you from my experience. Now, you know who my ex-wife was, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if it's gonna be bougie, I was gonna get it there. And you saw I used to bring her home, and you saw we'd be at the park with everybody else, chilling. She ain't have a problem being around me and 15 of my guys, or going to Brooklyn or the Bronx, or going to the club in New York, or going to the Zans. I mean, and just like I go to Milwaukee, we would be in the hood until we went to where she lived. She lived by the lake. You know what I'm saying? Way out in the sticks where nobody was coming. And when I say bougie, put it this way. First time I went to visit, they were trying to find out. They thought she was dating a drug dealer. Now, you've known me all your life. Now, I may have learned the finer art of interstate commerce at some point or something or other, but I've never been a drug dealer. I've never been on. You know me. I've never been on a corner.
Mm-hmm.
Never been on the block like that. Never needed to jump off the porch on that. So when I got to go out to visit these folks because they think that, all from Jersey, blah, blah, blah. He go hard, he was music. Well, so I got to go out there and stay 2 weeks to meet folks who think I'm somebody I'm not, And when we get there, this is in 92, 93. Pops got a car phone back then in the 600 Benz.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? 5, whatever it was, or 600. Mom had a convertible Jag with cream interior, and we're pulling up because we didn't drive our car and we flew. So we're pulling up to the hood, to the projects in that. But it was Milwaukee. So, we were bougie one minute eating pate and drinking champagne, going to Holgate's on the waterfront, and then we're in the hood drinking 40s and Boone's Farm or whatever else down on Atkinson. So, it is what it is. You want your kid. Me personally, I'm glad I married that way for a reason. I loved her to death, but I've always liked, Colette, librarian types.
Yeah.
The smart girls, you can think they're 7, you can think they're 8, you might think they're 6. But when they dress up, they're a 9 to a 10. Their brain is already on 10. They're going to raise your kid right. You know what I'm saying? There's gonna be some respect and some things in the household. I wanted my children to know the salad fork and know the place settings and understand the King's English. That's what she provided. My daughter didn't skip first grade by accident. I'm smart, but I didn't study. I got my 1050 without opening the book.
Yeah.
And I learned when I got to college, and that's the thing we got to teach these kids. If you have shitty work habits and shitty study habits coming through high school, you're going to get to college and get your ass handed to you. Whether it's black, white, purple school, it's trade school, you're going to be the dumbass in there looking stupid because it requires study. The thing, you know how it is. I never studied. I did my homework at homeroom, and while the teacher was giving the assignment. But to be with somebody who's just as smart or smarter, reads 5 books a week, and I mean 5 thick books a week. I'm like, what the hell? Oh no, my mother would never answer questions. She made me go to dictionaries. She made me go to encyclopedia, and we just love reading. This person would go to the bathroom and read the lotion bottle if she didn't have a book. That's how bad she needed to read. So that's the kind, and you will run into those at a Howard, at a Hampton, at a Tuskegee. And then you'll run into niggas who want to party like me. I got a master's. I got a master's degree in partying. You know what I'm saying? I've been to more clubs. I did Biggie in '93. I was the head of security. I'm down in Virginia State for a week. We all partying. We making it happen. We got Primo, Lil Dap, J. Rue. We got Northeast Groovers, Slim Charles from The Wire. He's part of Backyard Band. I mean, we were doing it. We were the books. The books were still in D.C. I was in Virginia, in Petersburg, Virginia, at B State, trying to get it. I was at Loud, going with Maddie and Free at the Mob Deep, sessions. And up there for whatever was going on. I wasn't trying to, school. Oh, yeah. I ain't taking no more 8 o'clock classes. Take Tuesday, Thursday. See you later.
So they gave you a real educational knowledge of self.
They helped on some issues because you learn yourself when you pay all your own shit, and when it's you against the world, or when you got to make it in a city where, in DC it's not like at home. Now they've been shooting in Jersey and in Newark since the 50s. So people who talk hard, talk this. Listen, half of these places weren't around when Jersey and New York and Philly were the 13 colonies. So all that Midwest shit, all that West shit, yeah, they get down or whatever, but you're way past, you're way late. You learn from somewhere, and you learn from those 13 colonies. But it's a different, those 3-4 hours from DC to Jersey is a big difference. The reasons why people get shot where we're from aren't the same reasons they get shot in DC. You can embarrass somebody in DC and you're going to catch a hot one. Now you can woof, might fight and whoop a nigga, excuse me, and it is what it is. But you embarrass them, you what they call carrying them, he carried me, Joe. Oh, it's war. You know what I mean? It's like smacking your mama or something. It's a war. So, it takes time to understand where you are and kind of, and how to manipulate the system. DC's got 10, 15 different law enforcement groups. And I chose to be a little more on the gray line when I got there, because you know how it is at home. At home, you do anything, everybody knows. Grandma done told what you think that boy going to the park to meet what they blow that horn for? You know what I mean? Grandma done know what was going on, and my neighbors. You know where I live. My peoples. So it is what it is. I couldn't do that. I couldn't be that guy. I couldn't, because shit, I'd have been in Newark. I've been out the house. Wouldn't be eating the same. But in DC, you grown, you're getting $50 a month, you gotta eat. So you figure things out. But it's a different ball game. It's DOJ, DOD, Department of State, task force, park police, regular police, Capitol Police, FBI, CIA, FEMA. There's about 15 different organizations that roll those streets every single day. And there's a camera for every place you can possibly go. So it's a different environment. And that's why like the culture in DC is a little different. They'll all be wearing the same exact thing on the block. Where we all want to be different. No. They all got a black Speedo with a black air like Avarex or plain old black nylon bomber jacket, black shoes, jeans. So that they all fit the same description when they gotta come up on trial.
Dre, you when you grew up in Boston before you went to Tuskegee, or you had already moved to Alabama?
Oh no, I left home at 18, so I grew up in Boston my whole life. I grew up in Mattapan, so if anybody know about Boston, it's in different communities. So Mattapan is more like your, Southern two-parent household, or the West Indian folks, two-parent household. Compared to I like to compare Roxbury to like a Harlem. Mattapan is like a Brooklyn. For those who are like, I've never been to Boston, so it's kind of different there. Like I said, it's very segregated, but your lane, and like you was mentioning about the whole. I want to touch on that a little bit too about Boulay, because sometimes a lot of people don't notice about me. Like, I'm not part of Boulay, but my dad's a Mason, and for his reasons for joining a lot of times was to like really protect my mom, and also too my brothers and I. So it's a reason why he did it. So when people see me with my dad, or like when they enroll me into college, it's more like, you see who I am, and my dad's already 6'6", a big Southern dude. So they're like, oh, okay, don't mess with her, because we already know this, that, and the third. So I'm thankful that his presence was known, even though he was all the way back home in Boston. And with Boulay folks, people get very they get nervous about that, because they're like, oh, okay, they're part of this secret society, or they're part of a fraternity sorority, so they're kind of like the untouchable people. And that goes with lineage as well. Like, you can't touch their kids, don't do this, whatever. And you can go do some real nefarious ish, but you had that protection from the organization. So now looking back at it, I see why my dad did the things that he did, so we could have that protection as well. So and he joined in Boston. If you guys know anything about just the whole Boulay thing, a lot of times like the Masonic was started in Boston. So I see why a lot of things that he did far as with that. But growing up in Boston, like I said, having Southern parents, that definitely helped me. It was a big culture shock when I went to Tuskegee, because Tuskegee's in the woods. It's like legit in the woods. And I remember one of my uncles saying, he's like, Andrea, you have to be also, street smart. So you got to use your Boston common sense. You got to use your book smarts, and you got to use common sense. So that definitely helped me to navigate a lot of situations, as far as with not getting myself in situations with people, with certain type of men. Because you have the men on campus, then you got the men that's locals, right? And like,
And
they
it's
know not to
way
mess with the
different,
locals.
baby. It's way different. And
Right.
that's that DC thing too. They like, they might trick, but they real hard on them. You might have somebody tied up in a closet for a couple days. I've heard all kind of stories. So.
Exactly. So that was like, that really helped me out, like being a person that that I was meant to be, whatever, because I grew up with all brothers, and I'm the youngest, and I'm the only girl. So it really helped me to like protect my neck in a way of like not getting in situations that I would see like my homegirls get into, or just people that I know in general, with just different people, or just getting hooked on drugs, or getting hooked on certain things. Like, yeah, I party, but also too, it was like my parents was like, you put that drink down, leave it there. Like, even to carry, protect myself, my parents was big on that. So like, I had a lot of blessings that came out of going to HBCU, but home prepared me, because like Sal said, the 13 colonies, New England is a whole different beast. If you can live in New England, if you can live in Boston, which is one of the most racist cities in the world, you can live anywhere. And so like, that's how I looked at taking those skills and like really self-preservation myself when I went to HBCU. And also too, like Montgomery has Alabama State, and Montgomery Southern, I don't know if y'all know about Southern culture. Like these people carry in a trunk. They'll go pop the trunk real quick and will spray out any like location, any environment. So I'm kind of used to that too because, like I said, my parents are from the South. I spent my summers down South too. So I've seen situations like, oh, okay, these Southern people are just as crazy as people back home or on the East Coast. So you know, it just really navigated. I really was able to navigate a lot of situations, even like learning how to navigate white people, and going to Mississippi. I know when I go to Mississippi because they paid for it. My parents like, "What? You going to school in Mississippi?" Like, there's still lynch people there, but I had to learn how to navigate, you know, Southern white folks too, which is a whole nother dynamic compared to like Northern white people. So
yeah, they don't let you know they're gonna hang you. They sneak and hang you up north.
Yes.
You know, down there, you already see Cousin Jed getting the rope ready. You just have to be foolish enough to hang around.
That's true. That's true.
Hey, so I wanted to say something about what you were saying about your dad. Now I understand what y'all saying about Boule, and I guess that's the way of putting it so you don't say wrong stuff. But the Masons, my great grandfather was a 33rd degree Mason. You know, Quentin, you met my grandmother. My grandmother that raised me, she's 93 right now. And she was born in 1926. Her father was born in 1903. And he was a 33rd degree Mason somewhere probably not long after she was born. But he had 18 kids. She's the oldest of 18. And he never worked a regular job. He didn't sell drugs. He didn't hustle like that, but never worked a regular job. He had 2 houses on the same block in Trenton. We've got the Lawrence family is the biggest family in Trenton, New Jersey, period. That's my grandmother's family, my grandfather's and his kids. And being a Mason allowed him to travel the world, you know, travel to at least the country and be able to get with like-minded people and make things happen. A lot of brothers that I went to college with became Masons. I know a couple that we went to high school with have too, but you know, I've been gone, so I've been linked in, but I see the little symbols and certain stuff. But my grandfather, great-grandfather, at 89 was still driving to McDonald's, cracking his egg before he left, drive to McDonald's 5 miles an hour. People get behind him, he flip his little signs. So the protections go, you know, further than people know. You know, it's the one organization or the one thing you can be a part of that even keeps them crackers off you to a point. You know, and really the blue wall, the blue veil, whatever the hell that is, they are crazy. You know, we know a couple we went to high school with that I have to say are real people. You know, the Mike Bowles and the Fred Scotts. It blows my mind that we know real live people like them. I'm proud of it. But outside of them and maybe a few more, Uncle Junior, stuff like that, come on, bro. These people are put there to kill us. They have sent to kill us. They're hiring Nazis off the ground to come work in areas that they don't belong in. You know, we don't have policing neighborhoods they grew up in. You know, that's why a Fred Scott and a Mike Bowles and some of those, Eric Ruskow, some of those are more successful because they can look at a black man and say, oh, that's a Sal, that's a Q, that's a Bilal, that's a Namil, that's a Earl. You know what I mean? Versus, oh, they hustle. Oh, they look like they got on hip-hop clothes. They must be drug dealers. Everybody wears hip-hop clothes at home. We fucking refuse to be R&B niggas.
Actually, in the future, I'm gonna interview Mike Bow. He got something going on right now, so we supposed to link up soon.
Oh yeah,
yeah. He got something really good going on right now. So Sal, for audience purposes, and Dre might not know. Let us know what you're doing with the music right now, man.
Oh Lord. Well, hey, look. We got a lot of things going right now, but I'm just trying to get to the bag, and I'm really trying to unify our hometown and get some of these superstars that we grew up with or whose children are coming out right now to make them get my goal. My goal is to take artists from silver to platinum. You know, my last name is Silver. It's a metal that not everybody wants. It's very valuable in some places. It's durable. But if you polish it up, it'll shine. But if I take it up to platinum, the value done times 100, and everybody's gonna see it and it's gonna shine. And that's what I want to do with these artists. That's what I want to do with these brands, with the producers, everything. And I had a couple of good shots along the way. I had some different things, artists that rap in 3 languages. What are we gonna do with that? Now you see everybody want to rap in 2 languages. That was 4 or 5 years ago. Before that, I had a lot of things. I had things moving. But right now, Man R with West Coast Mafia for Sibo, got Killer Tay and a whole roster of folks. Silver to Platinum is 20 years deep. So, I started my company a few months before my daughter was born because I refused to have my shit shaky when I was bringing a child in the world. So I wanted to make sure my business was legit and I could lead them something. I haven't made a bunch of money with it, but the name is the only Silver to Platinum in the world, and it's going to stay that way. I got Jack the Mac Frost. He's produced Bo, MC8. We're working on Merge McVeigh, which is the brain bully. He got about almost 1 million hits now because he can shake a woman's hand and make them have an orgasm. He's a hypnotist and an MC, and he's part of a rock band called Bionic Jive. But he was signed to Eminem a while back. But long story short, we're doing a new album called NLP, New Linguistic Programming. So it's like programming people through the lyrics and hypnotize them. So my man Jack is making all the beats, one sound at a time. They're working on it together. They're like 10 songs in. But he won a competition with it already. I mean, he's killing them, and he's got bars. He's from Chicago, but he sounds like he's at home because he's got bars, but he knows how to put it together. So that's a project we're working on. We're going to take that on the road. We hope to get it to Vegas because we're going to not only do a show, but we're going to also have him hypnotize people within the show, bring them on stage and make them do what he wants them to do. But if you look on World Star, look up Man Makes Woman Have Orgasm at Festival in AZ. His name is Merge McVeigh, EMERGE McVeigh. And when I tell you, he starts talking to him and he starts giving them suggestions. He tells them, I'm going to be the most beautiful person you've ever seen in your life. When you see me, girl, you ain't going to know what to do with yourself. And next thing you know, 15, 20, 30 minutes of them just losing it. Oh, ooh, ah. I mean, when you see it, it will have you dying. He does it at restaurants. He does it in festivals and crowds. And he's got a partner who can do it with like 4 or 5 women and make them hold hands. They call it the Kumbaya. Yes. So look, hey, we ain't done yet though.
No, go ahead, Sal.
Hey, we got some more. We got Picasso, 19-year-old from the Congo, young African cat, hot. We got him doing songs with a little bit of everybody. He's in Michigan right now working with this group, but he's on fire. He's got a different sound. We're working with Ben Franks, who's got a kid named Uche from American Idol. And he's the executive producer over the whole this whole project. He's got Bootsy Collins and Lionel Richie helping him on that. And we're looking at that hitting the charts. That's not something I'm doing directly, but I help them. We're all attached to the radio station on 102.9 South Phoenix Radio. You go to listen to my radio app. It's KDIF. You can pull it up and listen every Sunday, 3 to 6 with DJ Needles. I also have created an alter ego, Shameless P. Shameless Promotions. I go everywhere. Barrett Jackson Auto Auction, the Phoenix Open, the golf stuff. I'm everywhere around the city, either filming with the phone. I got somebody else behind me doing interviews, talking to people, seeing what's going on. So I'm blending the TV with the radio, with the production. We got the compound, which was 5 studios in one place. Of course, the Europeans had to bring it to a halt. They brought the hype heads in there to have reason to close the building, but we stepped it up to a much better studio. So Lemons Lemonade. And we got somebody from home that we're about to start working with. We were working with P Grant. I still love him and Vic. We're gonna do anything we can to help. It was a tragedy with what happened, his mom passing and all. But I had him in the pipeline to go to Engine Room. I know you saw some of those videos with him and Vic doing My Shooter and the Dub and certain things. They were on their way. Those boys are talented. And I try to explain, you don't have to do anything extra out here. All you got to do is be who you are, the dude you were going to school. And that's enough to have these people be your fans out here. Because they're trying. Some of them live the street, but they don't. Hip hop is second nature to them. We grew up with shell toes and suede pumas and fat laces. I seen him do a Gazelles on the other day, and he didn't know what I was talking about. I'm like, you know what you got on your face? Look at them Gazelles. I got a pair of my 9th grade picture, and I don't even know if I had the real ones on, the black with the gold, but I was rocking them. You know, my Kango had waves in it. My furry Kango was right. My 3/4 leather bomber was right. You know what I mean? They're all trying to do with either this coast or that coast or who's winning at the time. You know, we do what we do. You know, P. Grant and Vic were doing mixtape videos when people were trying to figure out how to do a mixtape song in 2012, 2013. So when they came to me, I'm like, oh, you got French Montana? Come on, we gonna get it. But the young prodigy we're working on that we just getting things together is Kayla.
Okay.
Carlene's daughter. Little somebody can sing. She can blow. And I'm hoping that, of course, you know what will be the grand finale. That we could put her with Pookie's baby and get her to write a hit and go record it up at the engine room and have it all come. I don't care if we got somebody in Vauxhall that makes beats. Tell them to get me the best. Whoever's in the hall that makes beats, get them to me. I got producers, but I want it to be an at-home thing as much as possible.
You froze, Gus. Dre, are you still there?
I'm still here.
He froze.
You
back. Yeah. You back now, Gus. You have froze for a second.
I'm back. I like what y'all doing up there, man. Kevin Jamal, Reggie, everybody that's helping in the community and trying to get the trick or trunk thing. That the trunk or treat, that is dope. I wish they had that when I was home, bro. I was so proud of y'all to see that from the aerial view. Whoever had the drone, man, I'm so proud of y'all with that. That makes me feel great. You know what I'm saying? And I want to try to see what I can do to add more. You know, so if y'all can pull, get one of these boys to bring SIBO out there, where I'm coming to hood, we'll do a bunch, whatever we can do in the community to add to it. Get us one show, and we'll do all the rest of it on the love.
Hey, yo, I'm going to get in touch with you, Gus.
For sure.
All right.
Hey,
no doubt. Thanks
I think I done burned up your airways. Tell the young lady I said it was great being on here with her. And look, we'll get you some more folks. We'll get you some people. We got them all day. They love to get on the camera. I'm like, he got me, yeah. I'm like, we get some young pretty folks on here.
All right, I'm gonna link up with you, all right, bro?
Yeah. Hey, you see what I'm promoting though right here, right? I was living in Milwaukee a minute, but let's make what?
I can't see the other side.
Can't see that.
Make America hip again.
Okay. Make America hip again.
You can't see the hat?
I couldn't see it all the way.
Okay.
All right,
the whole hat is made out of hemp. I got it from one of them festivals. They like your boy to be around a little bit and promote it. So, this is like a $30 hat. All hemp, no marks on it. I done had it for a year. And I can sweat in this bad boy. And it's right back to normal.
Look, I'm gonna holler at you, all right, bro?
Yes, sir. It's time to take one of those breaks.
Good looking, bro.
Hey, appreciate you. We're going to get it going.
All right.
Send it to me if we got it or whatever, if you got any tape on it.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Peace.
Dre, is there some more stuff you'd like to add? I'm quite sure, my peoples, he had an experience at Howard. He went to Howard in the late 80s. And, it was big.
Wow.
Yeah, so you know how it was back then compared to our culture and compared to the late 90s, early 2000s. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, it was
my brother's age. So, yeah, so he gave some great insight. I like to hear from that perspective of like late 80s, early 90s versus when I went to school. It's a big difference when I went to school in early 2000s versus now. I'm like, what happened? Just different generations, different mindsets. So
okay. Well, I know you
Any
you in
last
that.
questions for me? I know I went
I mean,
it fades to
I'm.
black over here.
I mean, you in that rainstorm. I mean, like I said, do you go back to the previous topic, which was good that we could always talk about because a lot of people. I heard one particular person say that we should never go to school for African American studies, and I thought that was interesting because everybody don't have access to the literature. Everybody don't have access to this history. Like
Right.
a lot of people's families made that great migration up north, and they don't know about the culture. Like Sal, he telling you he got fourth, fifth generation people that went to Howard.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Outside of your experience and my experience, like my niece, she was the first HBCU graduate in our family. She
Right.
went she went to Shaw, and then actually she went to she got a master's from Alabama State, where you down there
Oh,
at. Yeah,
okay,
so
nice.
it's a different experience when it's generational, and then when it's someone that's the first time graduate.
Definitely, it's
So
a big difference. And it's a big difference with schools too, and how you view education, how your folks view education. But I like what you made a good point of people who, not even saying like people on a rural, because people on a rural could have more accessibility than someone in, let's say, a Jersey or a Boston. And sometimes we often neglect the Black history even in New England or just in the northeastern states. So if people want to take an African American history class, so be it. I feel that if you are a Black immigrant and your family just got over here a few years ago, I think you should take an African American history class, because you don't know, because you didn't have to endure certain tragedies or just certain triumphs that we have endured, or let's say my parents or grandparents had endured here in this country. So I think that if you are a Black immigrant, or you just don't have no knowledge yourself, or limited, you should take a class, and you should not just take the class, but think about it, ponder what the class is teaching you as well. So
all right, yeah, 'cause you don't want them coming out their mouth talking about you a cotter or something. Be like, what?
right.
What you call it? That ain't no term of endearment.
No, it's not. Exactly.
You know who my
Exactly. So
people is?
right. Right. So I think that's why, they should take a class. But it was a good discussion, and I just wanted to add the plug in, for those who's listening. If you have children that's at the college age, I also say, like, give them the autonomy to choose whether they want to go to college, whether they want to go to a HBCU versus PWI, do the research. If they want to go to a trade school, like, really explore like careers. Don't just say, oh, you need to go to college because you got to be the fifth generation Tuskegee University grad. Like, you have to let them explore. And also too, look at your pockets, look at what kind of child you have. Is your child even equipped to go off to college, or to even go to a big conglomerate? Let's say I'm a University of Alabama with like 50,000 students. So you have to know your child and know your pockets, know what they want to study, and know what's beneficial to them. Because I feel like that's important as well for parents to know, and also take advantage of the HBCU tours in your in your town. I think a lot of times people like, oh, it's $500, but they also offer scholarships too. So they take the students to at least like 15 different HBCUs. Sometimes they take them from like Maryland to Alabama, depends on what school. And also to just take advantage of that. So yeah, that's my last little tidbit. Unless you have another question.
No, that's it. We could always have another show. We'll think of something, and I'm glad you could join us.
Yes, thank you for having me once again, and thank you to the
Tell
Let's
us about
Talk
your
fam.
website.
Yes, so my website is www.browngirlfromboston.com. So my website, I am, like I said, I'm a licensed social worker. I'm a certified life coach. So I talk about everything under the sun, from professional development all the way to how do you take care of yourself, all the way to mental health, and even, if you want to be an entrepreneur. I'm working on I'm working with another coach, one of my really good friends. We have a program called the Careerist Project. So this is for individuals, not just women or men, it's for everyone who are looking to enhance their career and also their life. Because this is, a new decade. We're in 2020. So this is the time in which people are starting to figure out, do they want to, leave their job and go for a better job? Do they want to start their own business? But how are you going to work on that from the inside out? Because I think a lot of times we're like, oh, we got to do our resumes, but are you ready for that type of, action, that type of level of goal setting in your life? So that's what we're working on. I'm also working on my own project of just my life coaching for those who are looking to just be the best person that they can be. What does that look like as far as with dealing with trauma and dealing with just certain things that came along the way that had some setbacks, but how are you resilient around that? So that's what else I'm working on. My last project I'm working on is my affirmation book. So I'm writing an affirmation book that will be launched in April, just to help folks with just affirming their greatness, because we live in a negatively charged world, but we have to also know how to endure that as people, as a collective, and as individuals. So those are the three things that I'm working on.
Well, thanks, Drea. Once again, we'll be talking to you real soon, and glad you could join us for the show.
Thank you. You all take care. Have a good Saturday.